Good morning guys, I hope you're doing well. So today I thought I would do a little bit of a different video. This is a kind of a similar one to one I did not too long ago. Bear with me a moment. This is actually what, this is one that is related to a video I did not too long ago. Well, about 3 or 4 months ago, a couple of months ago, I think it was, or a little bit longer. I don't know when it was I did it, but I know it was a little while ago. So I wanted to talk about this girl that I was friends with, and obviously I mentioned her before. Her name was Emma. So me and Emma, we were very good friends. I think the reason for that is because we knew each other so well. Like it's fair to say we've basically grown up together. It's like we've known each other for so long. We've known each other since we were in playgroup together. Obviously she's only 5 months older than me. Her birthday's in June, and then obviously my birthday's in November. Obviously, with me and Emma, we were friends, but it always felt like we were meant to be more than that. It didn't feel like we were, meant to be just friends. It always felt like me and her were meant to be more than that. And, that's how it felt for me anyway. And I had always planned on asking her out at some point. I'd always, planned on doing that. That was something that, I was always going to do. But I never really had the confidence to do that. But I think for me, what it was for me as well is I think I was also very nervous about how she was going to react when I told her how I felt about her. I was worried that she wasn't going to react in the way that I thought she would. I'd never planned on asking her out in public or whatever, because I knew that would be a very embarrassing situation, not only for me, but for her as well. And I wanted to make that situation, as less embarrassing as I could, for the both of us, which is why I'd always, planned on asking her out in private, because again, I'm aware that if you ask a girl out in private, they'll be more likely to say yes. The thing is, as I said, I knew, how it felt for me. I knew, it felt for me that we were meant to be more than friends. But I was a little bit scared. I think I was always a little bit scared that Emma didn't feel the same way. I did. I think I was always a little bit scared that she didn't see us, ever being more than just friends. Not in the way that I did. Because obviously I always saw that. I always saw us being more than just friends, but I was always scared that she didn't see us ever being more than just friends. I'm not saying that had we been in a relationship, we'd still be together now. I'm not in any way saying that, but, the thing is with Emma, she was just someone who, she always knew how to make me laugh. Go from being in a bad mood to being in a happy mood within literally a few seconds, and that was, normally down to her. She always used to wind me up about how she was a few months older than me. I remember she used to wind me up a lot about that. So there was one day where I completely made, a complete embarrassment of myself. So what it was, years back around that time, as I was in secondary school around that time, 12, 13 years old, I think I was. Around that time, me and my mum used to go and meet up with my nan and my uncle, and we used to walk around and do shopping and all that. So this particular, and then I would go back to my nan, to my uncle, and we would watch the wrestling, Raw and SmackDown. So this particular day, we were walking around the supermarket, me and my uncle, and we were having a conversation about sausage meat. Don't laugh. And I finished this conversation I was having with her about sausage meat, again, don't laugh. And I turned around and Emma was stood behind me. Now, I wasn't expecting her to be stood there. She completely caught me off guard. And I remember saying to her, instead of saying, hello, Emma, I said, hello, sausage meat. Now, she didn't take that personally. She knew that it was a mistake. She knew that I had said that by mistake and I hadn't intentionally called her sausage meat because I hadn't, that wasn't my intention. And I sort of, I was like, blimey, as I made a complete, a complete, balls up there, But the thing is, I think it wouldn't have happened if I'd known that she was stood behind me. I think had I known that she was stood there, I probably wouldn't have said that. But I think the reason that I said hello sausage meat was because she caught me off guard. And obviously that conversation that I just had with my uncle was still in my head a little bit, and I obviously still had sausage meat on my mind. So of course, as I turned around, she caught me completely off guard. She was stood behind me. And I called her sausage meat, but as I said, if I had known that she was stood there, that probably wouldn't have happened. I probably wouldn't have said that. But I don't know. Maybe I would still have said that even if I'd known that she was stood there. I don't know. But I'd like to think that had I known that she was stood there, I wouldn't have said that. And when I think about this, I think about it a lot, and I kind of, it kind of makes me laugh knowing I actually said that. But then I also think, well, it wasn't really my fault because I didn't know that she was behind me, or she completely caught me off guard. I just so happened to turn around and she was stood right there, like, as if by magic, kind of thing. But yeah, obviously, as I said, that friendship that we had, it was really, she was someone I always considered a really good friend. But as I said, it never felt like we were just meant to be friends. It always felt, for me, like we were always meant to be more than that. Emma was a very, very special person. She always has been a very, very special person, for me in my life. She's one of the people, I can say it was an absolute pleasure to know. And, it was an absolute pleasure to be able to call her a friend. And honestly, even now, even though I've not seen Emma for so long, I still consider her to be one of my oldest and dearest friends. I remember for a long while, I remember thinking that if I saw her in the street, I probably wouldn't say anything. I thought that things would be very awkward, between us, but, to be honest, they don't, when I think about it now, I don't feel like they would. Obviously I've seen her a couple of times. Obviously she came into where I was, went into the McDonald's, where I was working once earlier this year, and then last year as well, last year as well. I saw her, and she was just, it was so good to see her, it was so, she was such a special person, it was so weird seeing her again though, after so many years. And the thing was, she didn't really, when I saw her, she didn't seem like she looked much different to how I saw her the last time I saw her. She hadn't changed that much. I actually thought that Emma would have changed, quite a lot, but she hasn't actually changed as much as I thought she would have. To be very honest. Quite a major thing when you think about it. It was just a hell of a crazy situation. I don't know what to say. I really don't. She was such a very, very, like, she was such, and still is, somebody I consider a very special friend. I don't know, well, things might have been very good, very special between us, had we still been together, had we, been humble and friends. It wasn't like I hadn't planned on asking her out. It was like whenever I saw her, the words that I wanted to say didn't form in my mind. They didn't really. They never really came out. If you know what I mean. I think like my heart used every time I saw her, my heart skipped a beat. My heart was pounding. I had butterflies in my stomach. Like, I think the thing is with her, like the way that I felt about her, like the first time that I had actually felt that way, genuinely felt that way about a girl. I'd never felt that way about anyone before. The way that I felt about Emma was a way that I never ever felt about anyone before like that in my life. These feelings that I had for Emma, they were all new for me. Like, they were not, they weren't feelings I'd ever had for anyone else. It's like, to be for years I'd sort of been telling myself that the feelings that I once had for her had disappeared. They weren't. I'd been telling myself that the feelings I once had for her weren't there anymore. But in a way, I think they still are. I think they're still there deep down. And I feel that it's gonna be hard now every time I see her, because it feels like every time I see her now, those feelings are gonna suddenly be brought back to the surface again, and it's like, it's hard to ignore those feelings, because it feels like those feelings that I had for her, back then, have never really gone away. Like, it feels like they've always been there. And it feels like those feelings, that I once had for her always will be there. Sometimes, I feel like sometimes I do get angry when I think about the amount of opportunities I had to ask her out and tell her how I felt about her, and I never said that, and I never really said that to her. What I'd always planned was that I would ask her to come back here, watch a movie with me on her own, and then I would tell her how I felt about her. That was what I'd always planned on doing, but I never had the confidence, because back then I have to admit that, confidence was one of my weaknesses. It wasn't one of my strongest points back then. One of the things that I loved about Emma back then as well was that she wasn't a judgmental person. Which I feel like is kind of ironic, because I feel like I've become a very judgmental person these days. I think back then I wasn't that much of a judgmental person. And I'd like to think that Emma probably isn't really still a judgmental person now. But she certainly wasn't a judgmental person back then. And that's one of the things that really made me like her, but the way I did, was that she wasn't a judgmental person. That makes me really like and respect someone when they're not when they're not judgmental. That's for me, it's a person's biggest qualities, is not being judgmental. I always find it very easy to get on with a non-judgmental person. I would find it very hard to get on with a judgmental person, but, Emma wasn't a judgmental person, she was a non-judgmental person, and that's what I always loved about her back then. As I said, I think what it was for me, I think the only reason I didn't ask her out was because I was scared of how she was going to react. I was scared about her not feeling the same way that I did about her. I was scared that she didn't see us ever being more than friends, as I know I did. You know, I know that that was how it felt for me. It always felt like we were meant to be more than just friends. Like, it never ever felt like we were just meant to be, you know, like we were meant to be just friends. Like, it always felt like there was that something more between us. It always felt like we were meant to be more than that. And that was the hardest thing about it, but you know, for me, I mean, obviously, yeah, it might not have felt the same way for her, but for me, it certainly felt like we were meant to be more than friends. You know, and it felt like that, you know, that just felt like the way that things were really truly meant to be. Like, you know, you know, we were really truly meant to be more than just friends. Like, that wasn't, it never felt like that was what we were really truly meant to be. And when I look back at it now, like, I only wish that I'd had the confidence to tell her how I felt about her. It's hard to think that Emma may never really know how I felt about her back then, or, you know, how that she'll never really know that, you know, I mean, she probably thought I did, you know, to be honest with you, she probably probably thought I didn't fancy her that much, to be honest. Because I hadn't asked her out, I didn't ask her out or anything like that. She probably thought I wasn't interested, but I was. I just didn't have the confidence to ask her out. I was always so scared to do that. You know, I was always so scared of her, of her reaction. Like, how, you know, that thought was always really scary for me. It was like, no, it was thinking about how she would react. You know, I was always, you know, back then I was always so worried that she would say no. But when I think about it now, I kind of feel like I shouldn't have been so worried. You know, I kind of feel like I shouldn't have been so scared about how she was going to react to it. You know, I actually think that I do think that she wouldn't have had a bad reaction to that, or she wouldn't have reacted to that in a negative way. I honestly don't think she would. I honestly don't think that. You know, the thing is, whenever you know, me and Emma spent time together, it always felt like there was that spark there. And I saw that. You know, I saw that there was always a spark there. You know, I saw that there was always that something between us. There was always that kind of energy there, that kind of spark that, you know, that seemed to be ignited. But I don't know. I don't know if she ever saw that. Like, I don't know if she ever saw that there was a spark between us. I always saw that. You know, obviously, you know, I do hope that, you know, she's doing well these days. You know, absolutely I do. I think if I saw her now, what I would want her to know, like, for me, you know, how I feel about her is not important. You know, if we never end up getting together, then so be it. But, you know, what I would want her to know is that she has somebody that she can kind of, like, that I'd be, you know, that I'd be there for her as a friend, you know, and that she has somebody there that she can, like, turn to, and that she can talk, like, she has that friend there, you know, to talk to if she needed to. And, you know, I'd want her to know that she had talked to me if she needed to, you know, that she could reach out to me whenever she needed to. You know, I'd want her to know that if she ever needed a friend to talk to, all she'd have to do was pick up the phone, and I would answer anything, you know, and I would answer the phone, you know, whenever she needed me to. Like, I would, you know, that's what I would do. Because, you know, if that's what I want her to know, I would always be there for her as a friend. And that's what I would do. That's what I would do. You know, I'd always be there for her as a friend to offer support, you know, whenever she needed that. You know, to a bit of friendly support, maybe sometimes even a shoulder to cry on if she needed one. You know, but that's, you know, that's basically it for today. I thought that I would do a nice little video talking about that. And, you know, I think, you know, as I said, me not telling Emma how I felt about her back then will always be one of my biggest regrets in life. because I just feel like, things could have been so different had I told her that. I often wonder what we would have been like, what we would have been like as, if we'd have been together, like, I think we would have been a great couple. I think we'd have been I think we would have been really good together. I think we would have had a really solid relationship. I think we would have been, I think we would have been rock solid. I think, we would have been together for a long time. I honestly feel like that, but that's one thing I'll never. That's one thing I never know. That's one thing I wish I could turn back the time and change that, and actually ask her out. Correct the mistake I made in never asking her out. Actually ask her out. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you for another video soon. Bye bye.